Oh God, they found me and I'm in transit. Hey, I'm Mike, your host, and my discussion today is with
TRAWL!
And this is Music Talks.
Listen.
Who is TRAWL?
I'm Adam. I hit things.
Sean, make mouth noises.
Hi, I'm Seth. I play bass.
I'm Justin. I play guitar.
Whoa. That's so interesting. I'm listening. What is TRAWL? How did you meet?
So we've all known each other for a long time, in different ways, though. So I've known Sean for probably about 15 years and Adam for probably close to 20. Sean knows Justin from a long time ago. We all have been in various bands for the past couple of decades, and just in normal local band fashion, you shake the snow globe and members fall down and you end up in different bands and whatnot. But I started this band in 2018 and Sean came in second practice, and basically we've been, Sean's been in with me ever since. Justin joined up a few 2020, just before COVID, and Adam spent 3 years now, just after COVID. But Adam and I go way back. We were in Loki together for 7 years, so we now collectively have a decade of rhythm section jamming.
Wow.
Back and forth. Yeah,
It's all starting to make sense.
yeah.
Wow, that's so tight.
Somebody else talk now.
Well, I think so. That sort of leads. So you, when I was perusing your socials, creeping on all of you and taking screenshots and putting them in my special folder, I did notice. I think the first photo was, I think, like July of 2018 on your Facebook, maybe.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I did notice. So you would put your first record out. Well, you'd started putting singles out come 2019, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was a little while.
I saw a man with less hair behind the kit. So was there a drummer before Adam?
Yes, Gary Marston came in on drums when we started the band. He and I had been in Fifth Freedom previously.
You were in Fifth Freedom
for about a 3-year period. Yes.
No kidding.
So Gary Marston, that was his longtime band, and so that band kind of at the time disbanded, and I wanted to start something new. So Gary said, "Let's do it." And we started TRAWL, and we also had Tom Mishu on guitar. He was our guitar tech from Fifth Freedom as well.
So a funny little lore drop for those of you who watch the episodes of the pod. The vocalist, the leader of Fifth Freedom, his name is
Alan Jones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sold me my first drum kit ever
Really?
at Guitar Center.
That's so cool. Yeah, Alan's a great
He
dude.
sold me that piece of shit black SP, piano black SP, sound percussion drum kit. So shout out Fifth Freedom.
Shout out.
That's right.
No.
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with the SPs.
That's right. You gotta fucking start somewhere, buddy.
What's a TKO?
That's so awesome.
Represent.
Represent. So on that first record, is that who was behind the kit? Or not? Sorry for the rest, but for those first two
It's all good.
singles.
Yes. So for the first two singles, Gary Marston on drums, Tom Mishu on guitar, and we recorded those in 2019. So it took us like a good year or so to get two singles out there. But we got together like mid 2018, and we wrote about 5 or 6 songs and started playing that fall. And then by the next year, we were ready to start like really hitting shows hard and started recording a couple singles. So Yeah.
Nice. So so you really, it sounds like when you first started, it was primarily focused on the writing,
Yeah.
getting ready to go play shows,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
then getting ready to record those singles. And I noticed, so there's a little bit time between that first single and that second single, which seemed to have like exploded. And
Yeah.
do you feel like that was like the launching point, you know, at the very beginning of like, okay, this is like something that people seriously are into, and we need to like keep pressing forward?
Yeah, Sean, what's your take on that piece of things?
Yeah.
Because like that time frame was interesting for us. Yeah.
I need the
That
mic
was a
to talk,
gentleman
Seth.
mic toss.
Just-
What a gentleman.
So yeah, after the Carchardon, we went in to do Vertigo because
Mhm.
that was, I think, our third song we wrote together as a band, and it just, the way we worked with Kevin Billingsley there at Halo, it just came out so awesome, and the way people took it was really cool. So it was nice to have a chance to just show something that was different, and then Seth put together this really neat lyric video that helped prime the song up, and it just kind of stuck with us, and we just kept going. Haven't stopped.
So Vertigo was through at Halo.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both the first two singles were Halo.
Very shout out
Shout out to Halo.
Mastermind, but I know we'll get into it a little bit later, but I know that there's been a lot of DIY in, you know,
Maybe.
on and off throughout the band. So those two singles come out. Obviously they do pretty well. Sounds like you start hitting the shows pretty hard. Yeah?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So that leads into, eventually it leads into, I believe, the first EP being Shark Pinata. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
And now by that time, when we get to that place, is that where Adam starts to
Actually, no. Adam was not on that. So the first EP we had, so when the plague hit us, our guitarist at the time decided he didn't want to be doing it anymore. He needed to step away, which is
Okay.
fine. We totally love and support Tom and all his decisions. So.
Totally fine.
And then we kind of were like, who are we going to get to replace us? And Uncle Justy is who we
Justin!
called. He had been to, I don't know, a dozen practices, if not more. And whenever his band Division North would get up on stage, he'd start playing Carchardon as a warm-up just to mess with us. We'd all be standing in the audience going,
That's so awesome.
what a dick. So then we're like, hey, what are you doing? Do you want to do this? He goes, yeah, okay. So we got him in the band. He learned all the music. We came into this spot, which is the cold Northeast, and just started tightening things up and recorded the first EP with the three of us and Gary on drums.
Mm-hmm.
And it was magic after that.
Right. Yeah. So that first EP, was that also now what was the recording situation for that? I'm curious.
I think
Oh.
I'll try to remember this.
Okay.
I get hit on the head a lot, so
Wow, yeah.
I think
Band
it
practices
was
get
all
freaky.
done here. Other than that, that's why it was called Shark Pinata and the Halo singles, because we had those the two Halo singles, and we did the rest of it here on our own. I think I mixed that one too.
You did. Yep.
So it was all recorded, mixed here, and Pat Keane mastered it for us. So that's how that one worked.
I was looking for those posts that you made from Bull Moose. And holy fuck, every single record that you've done has been in like the top 3. Shark Pinata, obviously one of those. When that happened, that EP released, now you're sort of in the mode of pushing that record. When you found out how popular that EP was, and seeing those numbers, what was that experience like? Because again, and you know, Sean thought that I said they were old.
We are old.
But what I said is you're an anomaly, because I talk to many bands and that's not always the case. It's fucking hard, dude. It's fucking hard out here, man. And you fucking pay $6,000 whatever, record a record, and then you get 1,000 streams.
20,000.
Okay, see? Yeah, see, everyone in this room is like, what do you mean?
That's why we don't do it anymore.
True.
Oh my God! Oh, $20,000, not 20,000 streams.
No. $20,000.
Okay.
Back in the day for
CDs that went nowhere.
Oh my God! Well, I'll take one. I won't pay for it though. So when that happened and you got that news, I mean, what was that like?
it was cool. Very unexpected because it was like right at that time, sort of coming out of the pandemic, where like no shows were happening yet, but we wanted to put out our music physically on CD, and all of us have had our stuff on consignment at Bull Moose for a long time, and Bull Moose represent. Got to get the patch in there, but Chris Brown, been shopping there our whole lives and buying our records there, and so we wanted to do it proper, with the physical release, even though nobody was out there doing anything. And I think it was actually at the right time because it gave people a reason to get out of their house, go pick up a CD, and I think it was right place, right time, and we were like so stoked with the success of that, and it was totally unforeseen. Like we had no idea because prior to the pandemic, we'd only put out 2 singles. The first 2 singles, we're talking about the traditional studio experience versus DIY. I sold my comic book collection to fund those first two singles, and I'm slowly buying it back now. But
You're like, hold on to these for just a couple years, but I'll be back.
It's fucking hard out there, and so doing Shark Pinata here was really like a total, let's do something that I've never done before. I've always been kind of a traditional studio guy. I've had those cool experiences, but to do something, here ourselves with no like producer, nobody telling us what we can and can't do, or ideas that we're like, what about this? What about that? Trying different things, and rushing us. Yeah. But also, nobody to tell you, okay, it's done now. Stop editing.
Got it.
Stop. So I think, I'm very proud of that experience in a different way than anything we had done before. So
that's pretty amazing, and such a great point that you had brought up. It gave people reason to get out of the house. I didn't even put that in my brain, that not only is it awesome how many records you were able to sell, as this local main band, but during a time where people were not going into brick and mortar and purchasing. So that's awesome. I love that. I also love your note. So I also am a traditional studio guy. That's like, I think where I've done 99% of my work. And it is always a weird experience because you never know when someone's like, oh, I can do it. But obviously you have someone who's very talented at the helm. So that doesn't need to be a fear, because we've heard DIY, I'm sure, all of us have, and it's very varying levels of degrees of anywhere between suck and dog shit.
Totally.
It sounds.
Yeah. Go ahead. Just in case we didn't hear it.
It sounds.
It does sound. So Shark Pinata comes out. Obviously it does great. You're probably playing shows. I saw a lot of posters. God, there's so many fucking posters on your Facebook. When I say that I scrolled for an hour, I mean, once I get to the photos, it's a little bit easier. But holy fuck, there's like, you guys have done so much. There's so much to talk about.
It helps when you have an artist in the band, so he can make really cool posters for everything.
I mean, I love that part of it. So it's just, for me, it's like equally as fun as playing bass to like make flyers and think about the next, CD art or the next sticker, the next t-shirt. So I love that part of it.
Well, speaking on that, I think that's a great segue to your consistency of putting out material. So that brings us to the next EP, which comes out only about a year later. Yes. Now, again, I don't think I need to say it again, but again, another success. Now, when we get to that second EP, in that in-between time, are we still working with that? Now, the guitarist had left. Justin comes in.
Yep.
He makes you a hit record. You all make it. He records a hit record. Sean goes, I did like everything.
Again, it sounded.
It sounded. I think it sounded
Sounded spectacular. Yeah, no, I got
friggin',
full credit.
friggin'
so.
sweet, dude. It friggin' sounded good.
It's all right.
Now, in between that time, is there another band change up at this point? Is Adam in the band as you start to get ready for the second record?
We had a couple people in mind. Adam was one of them. We had another person that we didn't even have a chance to message or email or anything. They were like, hey, text Adam and see what he's doing. So I was like, hey, buddy, what are you doing? Do you want to do this with us? And he goes, let me think on it. And it was not even 12 hours later.
Yeah, it was like 4 hours at best.
Yeah, so 4 hours later, he goes, I'm an idiot if I don't say yes. Let's do this. So
Bear shit in the woods.
so we got Adam in. He came
Yes.
in. We gave him the tracks. He was ripping through, learning everything.
Of course.
I don't even think we had recorded the album when we went and played the first show with you.
Nope.
So, and our first show with you was with
Sumo Psycho.
out of
Sumos.
Toronto, Canada.
Oh, nice.
A really great group.
Awesome people.
Yeah, really awesome people. But then came back, started working on the next EP, and got it all banged out. And again, all of it was recorded here. I think Wyman mixed
the
it.
whole EP.
I think Justin, you mixed that one. Yeah,
Yes,
because Wyman didn't mix until the next one.
number 3.
Yeah.
Until Cosmic. Yeah. So Justin recorded, mixed, and then Pat Keen again mastered for us, and then we did the same thing, put it out at Bull Moose to put a physical product out in the world because it's fun to do physical things.
Also, physical is big right now. Young people actually like physical things. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? But there was something that I saw when I was looking and perusing. I noticed that you had posted a picture on the band page that was a post from Bull Moose. I believe it was From the Murky Depths, and it was them saying that EP was the pre-orders were some of, I think, like the highest that they had seen, right? They had to put out a warning about pre-orders, basically. That was like, fucking pre-order it because you're not going to fucking get it. That fucking blows my mind!
And I believe that was the one that broke the overall sales, too. Like, it was number 5 overall for the company, not just local
What?
sales. Yeah, we beat out, like,
No!
I believe, like, Black Sabbath and Disturbed, and I think Taylor
Disturbed.
Swift was behind
For like
us.
1 week or
It
maybe
was a
2
week.
weeks.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
They
Just
are
like
our
1 or
bitches.
2 weeks of being like number 5 bestseller at a fucking record store.
That's cool.
That's
You know,
amazing.
it sounded.
Is that a... You're so humble.
That's
I
why
was gonna
Spo's wants in on this.
Yo, I hit him up. He didn't hit me up back.
We hit him up, and we'll just talk.
Whoa!
We're trying.
That would be fucking crazy. So, you have a pretty euphoric experience with that first EP. The second EP comes, you get a fucking drummer on the kit, by the way, dude. You fucking kill it. You're a slayer.
Danka.
You're a fucking slayer. Of course, you hash it out so fast with the old material. Now, when you joined, I'm so curious, working on Murky Depths, did you come in and sort of just write your own parts to all of those songs for that record?
So Gary had I basically written a bunch, and they played me a bunch of the pre-production tracks,
Yeah.
and I listened to half of it. Mostly when I'm trying to learn a new song, I'll pretty much listen to like the rest of the music because it was basically told that's like you're gonna record the parts. So I try to take as much of like a little bit of what he's doing.
Sure.
But there's certain things like particularly 2003 when I hadn't even heard what Gary had put down.
Yeah.
He just started playing the guitar riff and I'm here. I'm like, play that, and he was like, it's a song. I'm like, good. and we just kept going, and I figured out the drum part basically just off of his guitar riff because it's just so damn cool.
So when you joined and you came in, you started rehearsing, did you all feel like there was just a really natural instant click as he started writing parts to the songs and everything, and it just really started to come together?
I'd say so because we had already played together for 7 years.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it was like, honestly, you were like, the only drummer that was in my mind. I was just like, I want Adam in the band. I really want. And when we, it just clicked immediately because like we have that history and so yeah, it was like kind of a reunion of the rhythm section. So yeah.
I'm just gonna. Is it okay if I take this back?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much, man. Thank you. Thank God. So, so I want to sort of take a break in between talking about Murky Depths coming out and, moving on to Cosmic and all of that. It seems like you all are fucking writing machines to release an EP basically every year.
That's him.
Oh, so Justin.
Justin's the riff master.
Yeah, he comes in here for 2 weeks and writes a record.
Thanks. I like to play.
Very good to know. So do you just show up and you're like, I have 28 riffs and I'd like to get through all of them if we can?
No, usually we come here and jam, and then at the end something happens, or at the beginning sometimes I'll just play something and Adam's like, play that again, and something will come out of that. Or sometimes I just have stuff I've been messing around with at home for weeks. Like I think last week we played something that I've been screwing around with for weeks.
Mm-hmm. And so when you have a writing process like that where you are able to knock out songs, one after the other, and they're all, it's like banger, 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 banger. So it sounds like you must have a larger catalog at hand, and then you're like, what 4 or 5 of these are going to make a good experience for a listen? Or
not necessarily. I think usually we focused on like 5 or so, and we just beat the shit out of those for a couple of months and then record them.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've ever had a surplus of songs to the point where we're just like, well, we've got 12, let's pick 5 and shelf the rest of them. I don't think we've ever had that many.
We've bailed on a few ideas that were like, we thought it was cool at the beginning, and then it didn't go it didn't go where we thought it would. We'll bail on an idea, but usually if we spend the time to complete a song, usually we want to keep it. So yeah.
I love that.
We mostly focused on quality, not quantity.
It definitely, we have a similar experience. It's like we sit on it and just pound it out for fucking weeks on end. And then we have to send it to the singer in Massachusetts to write lyrics. Yeah, it's a process. But he kills it. I guess. No, he does. So it must make your life easy, though, to be like, okay, here are these 5 songs. Let's just sit down and record them. Like having, again, you'll see it in the footage, fam. Dude, I don't know, man, but you can just sit down and be like, cool, that's a song. Let's start recording it. Is that sort of how it starts?
No, it has to gel. It has to ferment for a while.
Okay.
If we do it too early, then we just end up changing it later. Like, I think this is Seth's big thing is it's got to gel. You can't just be rushing into it like I see. And being that I've got this cheesy studio, I get bands in here that are just like that too. And it's like they come in here, they've been together for a month, and they just want to blow this song out, and they think they're going to be the next biggest thing, but you can tell that they've only been playing it for a month. Because like some people know what's going on. Like there's the ringleader always in these bands that knows what's going on, and then you get everyone else is just like, what? And then I'm sitting here behind the computer going, have you played this song before?
Yeah, we played it last week. We wrote it last week, dude. We're ready.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, that's a huge help, I feel like, to the writing process for you as well, because you have Seth, who now has my favorite phrase I think that I'm going to be using more often, which is, it's got to gel. It's got to go up and it's got to look good, man.
I want to bring it out live at least a couple of times.
I was going to ask that.
Because I want to see how the crowd reacts. Because I've done songs where it's like, in here it sounds great, and in your head it sounds great. And you put the little like home recorder to take it home and listen to it, and you're like, yeah, this is going to be great. And then you play it out and you're like, everybody's just standing there like... And you're like, oh, nobody else likes this but me. Maybe it's not the one.
I like that because, when you're in a band and you're in the bubble and you're writing and you're plugging in and you're recording and you're having maybe other people do mixing and mastering, it seems like there's a really good control system in the band, which can be hard to find. It can be hard to fucking have in a group of musicians if they're going to stick in the bubble. But the fact that you're willing to bring it out to shows, to see how the reactions are, to sit on a song to make sure it gels.
Definitely.
And then also just having a straight up, engineer in the room.
Really helps.
And in the band. Yeah, to have that because it's like a mindset and a skill set that not everyone possesses to be like, I don't think this is it. And it sounds like you're all okay with that, which is like a huge win when it comes to writing and choosing what's going to be best. And I think it's a skill that is lacking sometimes, dependent on the group, or maybe there's not enough of it, or maybe it's not heard enough. But I am, as we're talking, it's all making like sense now. It's like all forming together that you do possess that, and I think that's pretty impressive. Well, let's talk about your merch because, as we walk, to the next sunrise, rising star that is Cosmic, I was talking to you behind the camera, because, this isn't the only part of it, kids, okay? There's a lot going on over there. Courtney behind the camera, what's up?
Hi.
Great. She's doing, yep, awesome. And we have a good team here. We were talking about your merch and your art design. And, when I was scrolling through the 2.5 million photos on social media and posts, 2.7, fuck, yeah, took the wrong note. There's a consistency.
Thank you.
And I am someone who is a visual person. I love visually, I feel like I have a good eye, and I like consistency, and I like, to look at something and be like, that is X, or this is from X. And every single thing, even posters, maybe shows that you've hosted or put on or done the art for, but your merch, your single art, your EP art, everything is TRAWL. There's this bucket, and if you were to pull it out, and you would know it's from TRAWL because
Chum bucket.
Chum bucket.
Chum Bucket TM, damn. That's all. I fucking love Chum Bucket Productions. What's up? But I wanted to say it's really awesome to see, and also it adds again. It's like, as we have been discussing the origins, it's like a layer of this, a layer of this, a layer, and you're like, it's like the band Cake Boss and all the perfect layers, and
Nice.
having consistent marketing. Props to you. It's
Thank
fucking
you.
hard, dude.
I love doing that part of it, and it's like I said earlier, for me, it's like equally as fun as playing bass, and that part of it for me is just, I love like coming up with a new shirt design, and then like a few weeks later we've got it at the show. Now it's available for people, and we like doing small quantities of things, but doing a lot of variety. So, if you liked this one, great. If you didn't like that shirt, we're gonna have a new one in a month.
Have you found that to be successful?
I think so, yeah, because we found not everybody likes everything that we do, but if you put out a lot of variety, there's something there for everybody. We've got these things called bait bags that are just like stickers and tchotchkes, like the ones that we have right now, glow in the dark. It took me like a year to put this thing together. It was so much fun. This is volume 4 of this, because we've had 3 previous volumes.
This is what I mean.
And so like that stuff for me, it's just like endless, like just thinking about, oh, what can I do with this? All right, if I combine it with, and like maybe we need a new design over there. We have like 20 stickers right now at our table.
Yep.
They're just like all the various, designs from t-shirts and whatnot. And so like, I love the whole sticker culture thing too, of like, just, people putting stickers out all over the place and like seeing your sticker randomly in places and all that. So
we've traveled out of the state for this show,
Yeah.
and it was not a TRAWL sticker, although you would not. Actually, you probably would believe, because you just told me how many stickers you have. The amount of TRAWL stickers that I see fucking everywhere.
Yes.
It's awesome. It is awesome.
Mission accomplished.
It's a fucking cool thing to see. But just
merchandising.
All right, look at those trolls everywhere, boy.
hey, it's me. I'm back from spitting out my gum and totally not kissing these guys. So you're saying there's something you needed to... Hey, I'm not a liar. You're a liar.
Take my gum.
Yes. So you said there was something to note between the era of Murky into your next EP, and story-wise, I'd love to know.
Yeah. We got the opportunity to play the Cross Arena in Portland, Maine, opening for Anthrax and Black Label Society and Exodus, which was surreal and insane, and something that like I still don't believe actually happened. And that was like a major thing for us.
Yeah, it definitely did happen, because we have a 30-minute documentary on YouTube about it.
Yes,
So,
we do.
You do. I saw that. It's great.
I
It's
thought
so
it was
cool.
a conjoined twin dream that we all had.
That's
Conjoined twin wet dream.
that's a great song title.
New T-shirt next week.
Oh my God. So what's
Yikes.
the royalty split on this thing, anyways? I'm just curious. No, but how did you land that?
So yeah, it's interesting. We got approached about the possibility of it maybe being a thing, probably like 3 or 4 months before it happened. But there's so many entities involved when you're talking about a Civic Center show. There's the tour, the tour management side. Then there's the venue side, and then there's the event management company that comes and does everything for the Civic Center. There's all these people to appease, and some people said yes, some people said no. So it was kind of dead in the water like 3 or 4 months before.
Okay.
But the idea was there. So we came up with some creative things. We're like, how can we help promote this show even if we don't play it? Like, we offered the people to, like, if you need us to like have like sell some tickets or do it, like, we've got some buddies with a podcast, like we'll have the bands come and interview. Like, we had all these creative ideas, and we just kept hitting them with like, what about this, what about that? Hey, if you need local boots on the ground people to do flyering, what do you need from us? We're on the ground, we're close, we're local. Like, and we just kept sending them ideas, and then it was like, well, maybe we're gonna pitch it again. And then, nope, sorry, it didn't work out. And then 1 week before the show, they said, do you guys want to do this? And we were like, fuck yes.
Yeah. Wow.
So they didn't even say. They said, "You guys are on this a week before the show," and we went.
Sounds like a regular booking agent.
Yeah. It was like, oh shit. And they gave us tickets to sell, and they said there wasn't a requirement, and they had zero expectations that we were going to sell any. And we ended up selling like 80 tickets or something
Holy
like that
shit.
in a week.
80 tickets in a week.
We blasted everybody. We called in every mother
These
trucking
were like
favor.
$60 tickets for the pit. They weren't
Yeah.
like cheap tickets.
No. They weren't the
So,
seat.
yeah.
They weren't the nice seats that you can sit down and relax. They were on the floor. But we called in every favor. We spoke to everyone. We said this is an opportunity that we would love to just have family and friends there to check out. And then all of a sudden it's like all of our families were there. All of our friends were there. It's like that's what we wanted. And then showed up to the venue. They counted in our merch, and we went and saw the production crew, and we're like, here's the money. They're like, holy shit. Okay. Cool. And then
Thanks.
I was like, and then we walked out, and they said, here's your time slot. Just be ready to go.
What was it like playing that stage? I mean, not only playing that stage, but like just experiencing a bill with, bands that are that, commercially known and successful and, just so mainstream. What was that whole experience like? I got to know.
So getting there, being in a venue that I know I've been in countless times for sporting events, for concerts, it was like I was just there, but there was nobody there at the time. Like there was the crew of the venue, and then there was the whole tour package, and we were sitting there like, oh, this is actually happening. Yeah. And it just kind of was like everybody had sound checked, and we getting in there, and we're just kind of trying to mentally prepare. We got to do our sound check right after Black Label Society did their meet and greet, of course. So they're like playing football, and we're like, well, we got to fucking sound check. So we start sound checking. I know Zach Wilde took a video while we were sound checking, like he was walking across. I think he was just checking out the stage, which was super cool, but we happened to be on there making noise. So hopefully, Zach, if you're watching, call us.
Big fan of the pod.
Yeah, huge fan, number one. But we got to hang out and just basically we went back to our dressing room. They actually gave us a dressing room, not instead of like, here's your toilet, stay in here. We sat there and we just kind of prepped, and it was the tunnel walk around the Civic Center to get past all of the people was surreal because you could hear them through the concrete and cement. It was like, okay, there's a few people. And then we got out there and the lights were, they were still up, and you looked out and you're like, holy shit. And there was like, I think 1,800 or 1,900. There was a few people there, and we were talking with our sound crew because we had our own separate crew that was doing our sound, and the guy goes, "You ready?" And it's like, we fucking better be. So
Yes.
they killed the lights. We, pounded knuckles, and then we all got up on stage and
Right in the zone.
blasted ass for,
Yeah.
25, 30 minutes and had fun. That's
Good for
paramount
you.
to
Seriously.
every show we've ever done, and even every practice, really. Our rule is you got to have fun. If you're not having fun, what's the fucking point in doing it? So if you're having fun, okay, so Justin forgot to plug in half his pedals, or Adam throws his drumstick at the back of my head. It happens. It's okay. Have
Whoops.
fun. Have fun. And then, we had inflatable sharks, and there was a giant
Yes.
blow-up shark that made its way around the arena. And they were super cool. Like, the people there were like, we've got your merch up here after your set. Please come up. We'll have a table for you guys to sign autographs and stuff. So we got to go all the way up there, and it was really hard to get to the table because all of our friends were like, oh.
I mean,
And it was super cool, and it really felt amazing to give this opportunity a go and be like, we did that. And it was fucking cool.
It is fucking cool. I gotta know. I am someone who honestly have never experienced stage nerves. If anything, I just experienced like over adrenaline and like, I just want to play so bad. Were the nerves real? I gotta know. Like
Nope.
Nope.
Not for me.
You were like ready.
I got forced, like, I was thrown on stage by like third grade. My third grade teacher was just like, get in front of this camera and give a speech. So it's like,
In front of the
anything-
class.
Yes, in front of the class.
Okay.
Yes. Not
like
at the
in his
Civic Center.
not in his basement or
No,
anything.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, and for me, I compartmentalize stuff so that I just don't know who I'm a different person on stage. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So there's a switch that flips, and I don't remember 90% of the shows I've played in my life. So
Fucking same,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
The
So-
zone is real. Yeah, let's hear it from the rest. I'm so curious.
Same, yeah. It's a little bit like method acting where like you kind of forget like everything and literally just play, I will say I felt something different at this show because it was almost this like responsibility because, every other show we've played felt like a band playing another show to like do something further afield or do the next thing, try to make the next thing better than the last thing. This one felt like the entire scene kind of rooted for you guys to the point that got you here. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Like it almost felt like, we can't mess this up because, like it felt like you are representing main music in a way, which was weird,
I love
which was cool. But
I pooped my pants. I think I was
chillest man behind the microphone.
I was totally
the shittiest pants on stage.
I was totally fine until we got up on stage and I was like, wow, there's a lot of freaking people here.
I had to love that.
You did have Joey Belladonna smoking a fuckload of weed behind you during
he was
our
standing
set.
behind. Yeah, so Joey Belladonna was behind me smoking weed, and Scott Ian was off to he was on his side, and he was watching us play too. So
Fuck.
He was standing next
Yeah.
to my aunt.
Something they can never take away from you, man. An experience like
Yeah.
that. You played the venue, dude.
Yeah.
When in Maine, you played the venue.
The one of two venues. So there's that and the State Theater.
Yeah, that's a big
State
one.
Theater is our next one. We want to do.
I'm sure that it's going to happen.
it's on the bucket list. It's on the bucket list for sure.
we didn't
It's on the
mention
chum
too,
bucket list.
the coolest thing about playing the Cross Insurance Arena is that you can't cart your own gear around. It's union run, so you can't.
You're like, oh, I can't move
If
all
we
of
would have
my
known that, I
gear?
would have brought my lead guitars and my lead guitar amp cabinets and said, "Here you go. Get that on
Don't open that
stage."
sucker. There's a lot of uranium in that
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, don't pick that
I
one
build
up
my
without-
own amps.
You need a back brace.
They're all nuclear powered.
But yeah, that was really weird too. They're like, "Yeah, don't touch your own stuff." Like, okay.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible. So how close is that experience to going in and recording your next record at that point?
Really close.
Oh, yeah, here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Say it, man.
Really close. We actually. So what was cool is the day that we played the Civic Center, we got to announce our headlining show at Aura.
Yep.
And it kind of started the clock because we had started working on songs for the next for Cosmic Aquatic, but we were pretty early in the process. But we basically said, okay, the show is in June. Why wouldn't we put out the EP in June for this show? So we kind of put that time frame on ourselves, and luckily it worked out. But we felt pretty good about what we were doing. but we definitely that particular album put a real, time clock on it. So,
But again, it's like I keep coming back to it, but it's like this standard and this consistency of release and on top of marketing, it like all comes together, and you're like, we're fucking headlining Aura. We're gonna fucking put our show, our EP out because it makes sense, and you fucking did it, dude.
it was
That's
a challenge.
hard.
Yeah. But we made it happen. But yeah.
And I'm curious. So the recording process for that, is that again like a lot is in this room, or
We changed it up a little bit. Maybe Justin, you want to?
Sure. We actually didn't record that. It was actually another band that recorded it, and we just called it TRAWL. So you've all been duped. It wasn't TRAWL. It was really THRAWL.
Trawl? It was Thrall.
It was.
Yeah, 2 W's.
So seriously, we recorded it all here, and we ended up, so across the hall from us is John Wyman's mixing studio. So we hang out with John once in a while. So we ended up having John mix that for us, and then Pat Keen mastered that one as well.
Nice.
So
Man. So you record it. You have the legendary Weinman, who you're just, oh yeah, he's just like, he's next door. So it's like, sometimes we hang out or whatever. Yeah, it's like squeezed us in. Yeah. So you released that record the day of that show.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm curious, obviously the reception again, if anyone is surprised at this point, was again like top 3 of Bull Moose. I believe that from what I saw, this was like the number 1. I
debuted at number 1, and
dude, it's like,
it stayed. I think that one stayed on the charts for 10 consecutive weeks.
I had that in my notes. I think it was like 9 to 10 weeks straight. You had put it in the post on the picture.
Yeah, I try to like
Man.
it's harder now because the list is less consistent. They don't post it every week. But at the time, you could literally go, okay, figure out your own numbers by looking at the list. And I would try to compile it and say, 9 out of 10 of the last weeks consecutively or whatever have you. So it was
so crazy.
It was really cool. And yeah, that definitely was, like opening for a show with legendary bands is one thing, but to be able to headline a large venue is a whole other thing because it's a ton of work to pull together. We had some awesome support bands. We had Too Late the Hero support us on that one, and that was great. We also had Mammothor from Massachusetts, and who else was on? Roseview.
Yep. Keanu, what's up?
Some great support bands, and to do anything at Aura, you really got to mean it. So that it was a fun show, and we, I think it definitely, continued. All right, so being able to open some of these shows, but to have your own show like that, I think it kept us moving forward in a good direction. So
for sure. And when you go into writing a new record, I'm so curious, is there ever, like an objective, or like let's like try something different, or is it just you get in the room, you write what you write, and what you like is what you like, and this is what's going to go on the record? Or is there ever a goal after each record? Because obviously for you, what is that?
Don't suck.
Good advice.
that's always a goal.
Good advice. This man, he's smart.
Yeah.
This Adam man is smart. Because again, it's such a different experience talking to you all, and I appreciate it truly. But bands, we put out singles, we put out EPs, we put out demos, and they don't see anywhere near that success. And so, not only are there goals when you go into a new record, but what's it like having something that's number 1 in Bull Moose, or let's say before that it was number 2 or number 3, and is there ever this sense of like, we need to top this, or we need to do this, or what is that all like, as sonically you've grown, but also as your time as a band has grown and you've continued to put things out?
I think that it kind of boils back down to what we were saying earlier of it has to be fun. And we don't really try to think of like, how can we top what we did before? It's still just like, how do we write? What are we thinking? Does this sound good? Do we like this song? Then this is the next song that we're putting. And we just keep going with that. And as long as we're still having fun, then it's good. And we don't I don't think any of us really consciously think about the ramifications of the song. Like, oh, are people gonna like this? Is this one gonna suddenly be, is this our what was that, Lulu with the Metallica Lou Reed album? Is this gonna be our Lulu? Oh crap! It's just always, it has to be fun, and as long as it's fun, and as long as we're still enjoying what we're doing, then let the chips fall where they may.
That's so radical that you get to do that, and people are just like, yeah, we fucking like it, man.
It's definitely hard to do, but it's, trying to not think too much about the outcome and try to do what feels right, because as soon as you start being too concerned with the outcome, I think it's trouble, because then you're writing something to pander to a certain audience and
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as Adam said, it has to be fun. It's also one big piece of advice I've always tried to live by with music is just don't take it so seriously. Like, yes, it's a serious business, but really? Really? Have you seen yourself on stage? Really?
Pump some of that into my veins.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need that. I need that reminder.
It's
take your craft seriously. Take your craft seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously.
You can take it seriously, play your instruments, and make sure they're clean and tuned. But have you really seen yourself on stage? It's not pretty, especially when you're in your 40s.
I don't know. I've seen you live. I don't know about
I've
that.
seen me live too. It's horrifying.
Well, then we're on the same fucking page, dude. Shout out to Kraft Mac and Cheese. Just talking about Kraft. Well, I love that so much. So, I want to talk lyrics real quick.
Okay.
Because I think that's a great segue. That's a great Paul Blart segue
Yeah.
into lyrics, because you had just said, for you, don't take it too seriously. And what I found listening through your records is sometimes that's the case, and sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's a little. You could say it's like a crab rangoon. The outer shell is a little funny, but then you get in
that
there
gooey,
and it gets fucking serious.
the gooey
and
inners.
Oh, fuck, that shit's serious.
Yeah.
I'm so curious about your writing style and everything.
Me too. So when you find out, let me know.
Okay, awesome. And we're finding out together.
Lyrics are just I gotta. These guys start writing the music. I wait for the chorus. When we find the chorus, it always tells me a story. So I write kind of backwards, where I'll get the chorus, and then I have to figure out how the fuck do you get from there to there. Like, what is? Tarantino. Yeah, I got Tarantino, like the whole friggin' thing. Like, it's going from the back to the front to the middle, and then there's a sausage in there.
Yep,
but,
for sure.
I very, very rarely have any set of lyrics set before these guys write music. I always let the music tell me what the song's going to tell for a story. To be honest, again, having fun's main priority, but like the most recent EP, musically, I think we've played the best music we've ever played. These three absolutely destroyed on Tempest, and it's one of my favorite sonically, musically. It's gorgeous. And lyrically, it was the biggest psychiatrist session ever.
Yeah.
So it got dark, and that's why it's called Tempest. It was a very stormy. It was also a way for me to unleash things that I've been holding on to for way too long and needed to let out. And now it's happiness and butterflies and shit. But
Boo,
I'm
just kidding.
They were seriousness, but there was also the goofiness and a lot of people didn't like the serious tone of Tempest, and some people were like,
"That's so interesting."
Wow, you guys definitely
You sing a song about your dying dog.
Yeah, so there's that.
Right.
That's
damn.
a 5-minute song for my dog that passed away like months before. It's like, thanks, Dick.
Which song was that?
Nova.
Okay, because
So-
I was going to touch on SOS because
Okay.
I sort of made the joke about the crab rangoon. Obviously, that's I would say like a pretty infamous line.
It's honestly,
It's going to be a T-shirt.
it is going to be a T-shirt, but it's also, it has been said by many people that they've heard the song, immediately went and got Chinese food to get crab rangoons. I have a good friend of mine, Rowan, shout out Rowan and Jonas. They came to a show, We played the song. They left our show to go to a Chinese restaurant. They got crab rangoons, brought them back to the venue, and ate them
That's
while we were
so
still
fucking
playing.
Radical.
So
That's so radical.
it has boosted crab rangoon sales by 300% since the song came out.
God, it changes like the entire perception of whenever you guys play Empire too. That's so sick. Because SOS
Sauce. Yep.
Sauce
Yep.
Sauce comes out. Number one. Gets I mean there was pictures of I don't even know how many articles. A lot though. But listening through, because what I try to do when I come that's gonna be Steven's gonna put that in the fucking edit, dude. That's gonna be at the end. I've doomed myself. The shit that happens and that he had.
I'm gonna come.
I try to listen from beginning to most recent.
Okay.
And then I go from most recent and I go to beginning. That's usually what my process is. So I listen to the discography up and down. Down and up. And when SOS comes on, it got released as a single, so it sort of played separately before I got to the actual EP, because that's just how I do things. I want to hear how things were released, as long as long as the band's streaming stuff makes sense and isn't a complete utter mess. And the first thing is there's that complete and utter, I don't know if I would call it like meltdown or internal deconstruction part in that song. And I don't know, it set the tone for when I started to go into Tempest to see what I expected, because one of the notes that I had made is not only is the material more serious, the lyrics seem to be more serious, the performance is more serious. And one thing I think that I can tell, from your style and from the band style too, but people say like you can hear when someone smiles or something, but for every performance that you put on a record, what I've really noticed is you can sort of see your performance in that seriousness. So it sounds like you go into Tempest, you record that, or you start recording that record. Was it pretty noticeable as soon as you got in the room to do that? You're like, I think that this is what the tone of this record is going to be like.
So we had already got all the songs completed before recording it. It was, again, beat the ever-loving piss out of every song so that we know what we're doing. We actually got some studio time through Halo, through the Markathon on CYY.
Shout out Mark.
Yep, Mark Curto. Love him to death.
Yep.
And, just had to help the Center for Grieving Children, and we were lucky enough that we got some studio time through that. Adam went in, destroyed the drums in one day. All 5 songs, destroyed them. Seth and Justy came into here, killed the guitars and bass. It was just ridiculous. And then we decided to really step up our game. We'd already had Halo do the drums, and Adam played this Noble and Cooley set that just sounds stunningly beautiful on the album. These guys played strings.
Good job, guys.
They sounded very well. But then we decided to hit our neighbor here and say, hey, we want to do vocals with you.
Oh, wow.
What are you thinking? He goes, love to do it. Let's go. So we gave him the tracks. I brought him lyric sets. And the whole point of Tempest was to be a smidge more serious, but at the same time, try to reach out to people who may or may not have issues in their life that they're afraid to talk about. So SOS is actually one of the harder songs that I wrote, because it's not even a song. It's a full-fledged suicide note I had written for myself. I was going to kill myself. And I can't remember. It was one of these guys sent me a message to the band chat, and I don't know why, but it changed my point of view. And then it was probably an eggplant or a hot dog. That could have been you fully with cheese on it.
Justin's out here saving lives with just emojis.
With just emojis.
He's
but
just
it was
that good.
It was a thing that needed to. I wrote it, and then these guys brought this music, and when I heard it, it changed my perspective of things, and I put it on these lyrics, and they're like, oh, that's okay. And Adam goes, we got to write a really fucking happy song now. What the fuck? I went, yeah. Didn't even think about it. We didn't write a happy song. But then
you're like, no, we're in it, boys.
It was that
we're
one.
in it.
That was a way to help anyone who needs help emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. Like, just reach out and talk to somebody, because there's somebody there who's going to listen, whether it's a friend, family, coworker, teacher, doctor. Somebody will talk to you for even 1 minute and change your direction in life. And if it weren't for these guys, I wouldn't be here today.
Wow.
So
that's a very big statement.
She's making faces at you. No.
Courtney behind the camera is clapping.
I thought she was flipping you off. That was interesting.
If you can imagine, it's this.
Yes.
It's a crab clap.
Crab claps.
It's a crab clap.
Crab claps.
Yeah, we got crabs and we got the clap. Well, so I'm sure that you've heard this, but to just give you, I guess, affirmation towards what you just said, that is the record that I connected with the most.
Honestly, yes, Tempest has hit a lot of people in different ways. A good friend of ours came up to us very shortly after the album had been released, and he was like, "Cell is my favorite song. I love it, but SOS helped me. I had an issue that I was afraid to talk to my wife about. I spoke to her about it, and I'm getting help."
So
and
that's amazing.
That changed. And it's like, yes. And that was it. That's what it needed to be. And like, Cell's just about, losing trust in somebody you love because they do something stupid. Majesty's about friends who just backstab the fuck out of you, and they're like, "Oh man, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while." It's like,
dude, yeah.
No, you are a fucking asshole.
We're all in the music scene.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all experience
Braggadocio is about, douchebags.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it. And Nova was, these guys wrote this very beautiful music that it lasted 5 minutes. We did 3 rotations of the things, and I had nothing for it. And we had just put my dog down of 10 years 2 days before my wife's birthday, so that was real awesome. But I had nothing, and the brain waves were so scrambled and stuck in a tempest that I couldn't. And I finally, just listening one day, I went, "Here it is." And then we did it, and then explaining to them, and I know he's lost a dog recently, and he was like, "Fuck you, man. Like, damn it." And going in, I gave all the lyrics to Wyman, and he's reading them. He goes, "Okay, talk to me about this one." He's like, "All right, well, let's bring it back emotionally when you're doing like SOS." He's like, "Bring it back just above where you were to write this." I went, "Okay."
That's great advice.
So we went there. It got dark.
Yeah.
But we got it done. Same with, Majesty, SOS. Braggadocio was just fun, because that's the one fun song we did write. And even though it's a little serious, talks about brains like noodles, which is fun. But then Nova was the last song we recorded, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, because I had lost my uncle to cancer. A good friend of mine's father, who was a very good friend of mine, passed away. Another friend of mine passed away in a car accident, and we had lost my dog the same year. So it was like all 4 of these deaths. I had all their funeral cards in front of me, and I had my dog's collar on the stand. And if you listen to it, I'm not faking it. I'm not fucking trying. I literally was crying my fucking brains out the whole time. I don't know. We probably took 15, 20 breaks every verse. It was brutal, but it was a way to release the energy and the burden that had been stuck in my heart. And I know these guys felt it too, because we were like, "It's fucking done," and it's perfect. It is a little serious, a little goofy, but it works, and it's out there, and it's ours to say, "This is our shit. Fuck you if you like it. Fuck you if you don't."
That's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the vocal stuff with Wyman, because Seth and I had worked with him in the past. And it's like him and I had worked together, but we knew that he hadn't gotten what I call the Wyman treatment. And he just has a way of like pulling that extra thing out of you as a musician, to just find that way of like playing the drums just a little bit better, or hitting those notes just a little more on. And when it came to vocal production, it's like this particular album needs that little extra something to just pull it right out. And yeah, exactly. It just needs a little more of that. Yeah.
No.
So
well,
that's why we're just
through.
like, no, put them in there and just lock the 2 of them in a room for a couple hours and see what happens.
Yeah, it came through.
5
Seriously.
days. It was 5 days. That's all we did. 5 days of vocals.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. That's a fucking long time. Holy fuck.
Yeah. 5 sessions, but 5 days. But
yeah,
even
still 5 sessions. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And again, genuinely, it is the record I connected with the most.
Good.
And I think it's, I get it. It's like, and yeah, I guess it is like that Wyman treatment. You know?
He
It's
literally
like, just pulled it out, man.
when he talks to you, he doesn't. It's hard to describe. He doesn't talk at you. He talks with you. Like, he genuinely cares what you have for ideas, and he will take it in, and he plays with it, and then, you know, even if it's his idea, he kind of makes it feel like it's your idea, and it's awesome because he's willing to try anything. It's weird. He's like, oh, let's see what that sounds like. How do you feel that?
A true producer.
And it's like, I don't think it went good.
He actually has a psychology degree, not a music degree. And it's one of those things that's like, dude, what could you do with a psychology degree in music? And he was like, you'd be surprised. And then you do a session with him, and you're like, oh.
He's got the teacup with the spoon. And he's
Just tweed.
He's hitting
Always
the
wears
rim.
tweed, you know?
Yeah. Well, so I think that's, you know, sort of a great page turner coming out of Tempest. Where is TRAWL today? You know, not only where can we find you? Clown shoes. Cloud shoes. But where are you as a band as well, mentally, sonically? I'm just so curious about all of those things.
Honestly, I think we're just as tight as we've ever been. We just started writing new stuff a couple
go.
weeks ago. We've got one song that's 80% there. Everything's crazy right now. I like tornadoes. Yeah, so the new song we got, it's called Autumn in a Car. It's got a very Tool meets At the Drive-In kind of vibe, which is, you know, some of our influences there. And we're just trying to write some new stuff and not necessarily go to, like, here's our post-hardcore phase. Like, we're just trying to write stuff that we want to, again, that's the
doing
big
what
thing.
you've been doing.
We're doing what we're doing. We're having fun, and it's good times.
Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate everyone sitting down and talking with me. It's so cool to talk to a band who has had so much success, not only locally, but out of state. You continue to grow. I'm excited to hear the new stuff. Everyone else is excited too. I know that. Thank you for sitting. This has been TRAWL. I've been Mike, and this is Music Talks. Comment I know. When I come